Welcome everybody to the Nevada Wolfpack Dynasty. We are 5-3 this year, and so far in the Pac-12, we have really, I think, run into some tough competition so far, losing to Colorado State, losing to UCLA. But right now, we are right there in the middle of the Pac-12 and kind of in that 4 to 6 range right now. You can see right here, we are like 5th in rush yards per game defensively, 5th in pass yards per game defensively. We are right there in the middle as well as sacks too. We are ranked 5th in sacks. So we are kind of ranked exactly where our defense is kind of taking us. And that's kind of been the story of this year. Our offense has been putting up points. Our defense, we've allowed more points than we have scored. And I think that, this year has been quite the challenge. We have seen some teams that are elite. We have seen some teams that are on the come up. And I think we need to make some changes as far as our depth chart goes to the last 4 games of the year, especially if we want to finish in the top 4 in the conference. Starting at cornerback, and cornerback is a position that's very interesting. I think we took it a step back from last year. Jackson Barton is a guy that I've been keeping my eye on. The only thing with him is he is only 85 speed. So that definitely concerns me, putting him on the outside potentially. But we'll see. I think I'm going to start to play him more and kind of switch him around inside, outside, nickel, whatever it takes there. I want to get him on the field. Larry Swain has been interesting this year. He was a freshman All-American a year ago, 2 INTs as well last year, 0 this year. I haven't really felt his impact. I thought he would be a more impactful player this year as our starting free safety, but that has not truly happened this year. Rushing the quarterback, speaking of position groups here, looking at our pass rushers, has been quite the challenge. I think that losing what we had in Jonathan Maldonado with LaBarbera a year ago, the last 2 years I should say, I think has been tough to replace. Keon Burgess is a very raw freshman, and I know he's going to be the future of this defense. Right now, I just don't know if he's got the skills to get after the quarterback consistently. As you can see, the finesse moves, we have no skill caps there, but his finesse moves are way down there. So we're going to start to play some guys in the rotation getting after the quarterback in place of Burgess. Burgess will still play. I still want him to be on the field, get that experience. But a guy like Brandon Godfrey is a good example. I do want to play him. Look at his skill caps as far as pass rushing. Everything else is pretty capped, but I think he could be a potentially decent pass rusher for us, along with Dennis Briggs, who's got 91 power moves. That was one of my big upgrades in the offseason, upgrading him. And we'll see how that kind of works out getting after the quarterback. So I'm going to start to play both of these guys a little more. They both do something a little differently than what Keon Burgess currently does. Running the football has also been kind of the story this year. We have struggled, I think, in this series altogether with running the football. I think maybe year 1 was a pretty good year with Herschell Turner, and we also had some depth at running back. And I think that now we really need to recruit better there and start to develop guys more. I think we only have right now 4 running backs on the roster. I want to have at least like 6 running backs on the roster that each kind of give us like something different. Receiving wise, I thought this would be our weakness this year, but this is actually like our biggest strength, to be honest with you. Micah Tease has been amazing. We all know that DeMar Tam, the freshman, was going to come in and do well. He's been doing awesome. Mike Bandy's also been doing great. But then the tight end position is something that I haven't solved quite yet. Obviously, a year after replacing Cooper Flanagan, I want to start to get Dante Starling some playing time. Obviously, he's pretty raw as a route runner, but his hands are actually pretty good. And then also, I want to talk about linebackers, not necessarily edge rushers. And I think that right now, we just don't have a good group of guys at this current moment. I think that we have guys that have potential, but I think right now, Larry Tuilolo is the lone linebacker who's really making an impact. And I think I'm going to start to rotate some guys in. Ezekiel Anahu Ambrosio has been interesting this year. A lot of missed tackles, and I think that we're going to start to rotate some guys in his place. But today we have a doubleheader episode as we face off against Utah State to start out this episode. They are 3-5 on the year, but as you know, in college football 26, you can't take any team lightly. Every game is really a pretty tough matchup on Heisman this year, especially with the bad teams. For some reason, they play much better than their overall. So here we start on defense. There is Larry Tuilolo right away there on that tackle, and I want to see our defense make plays. Here's a bubble screen out to the right side. That's going to be caught down the right sideline, tackled at about the 40, and it's a first down. Brooklyn Cheek, number 25, was in coverage that play. 3rd and 5 now. Here's a throw to the sideline, and Josiah Persinger will be there to break up that pass, and we do get the opening drive punt that time. But now it's 3-0 here later in the first quarter. Here is a deep shot looking for Mike Bandy, and Bandy's behind the secondary, tackled at about the 6. Dylan Council seems like he can just sling it effortlessly down the field. Mike Bandy has been really good for us on the 1. Here's a handoff to David Paul, and he will score for our first touchdown of the day. We've had a ton of home games this year. I imagine that going into next year, we're going to have quite a few away games, but it's really helped us so far in the first year in the Pac-12. So here to close the first quarter. Here's a throw across the middle. That one's caught. Tuilolo in coverage with Marcus Rahman coming and helping out late. But now here's Utah State on the goal line. It's a handoff and a touchdown. And like I said, for some reason, these teams that are supposed to be the weaker teams in this game end up playing really well. Here's a throw to the right side by Council here in the second quarter. That's caught by Riley Langley inside the 5-yard line for a 1st and goal. Setting us up here on the 4. Running a man in motion. That's David Paul in the backfield. We're going to hand it to him, and he's going to walk in for touchdown number 2 of the day. You know, I do want to see, how David Paul can end this season. Could he go into next year as the starting tailback? I think he's going to need to develop more, and we'll see who we bring in the offseason. Now it's a 13-13 game here. Here's a 2nd and 6 throw across the middle. That's Micah Tease across the middle, and he will have the first down. Running Tease in motion this time. We give it to Lacatur. Lacatur has a block downfield, and he's tackled at the 2. Lacatur is interesting. When he's in a backup role, I feel like he runs the ball better. Here's a throw across the middle. That's DeMar Tam for the touchdown, and Tam will score. Tam was shaken up through the last, probably 3 or so games, and he actually missed some playing time due to his wear and tear. He wasn't able to stay on the field, but he's been healthy as of maybe the last game or so. Here is a throw to the left side by Utah State here in the third quarter. That's another stop by Larry Tuilolo. He is stacking up the tackles for loss this year. So now in the third quarter, here's a throw to the sideline. That is Bandy on their top cornerback. That's a first down and a great route by Bandy. 3rd and 8 now. Here's another throw to left side. That's DeMar Tam, and he picks up the first down. Council has yet to turn the ball over today as he enters the fourth quarter. Here's pressure getting to Council, and he had Lacatur open, but the pressure gets to him. And we do bring in Darren Bortles, who has struggled kicking the ball this year, and that one is good. 23-13 now in control, up by 10, but we got to play good defense down the stretch. Here is a scramble to the right side and a first down here by the Utah State offense. Here is Amir Broussard getting pressure, and that's Marquise Robin, number 8 in coverage, could not make the play, and it's a big-time gain. Now they're on the other side of the 50 now, looking to run the football. Here is a broken tackle. Larry Swain couldn't break him down to take him down, and that's Larry Tuilolo along with Tyler Armstead, number 23, for the tackle. 4 minutes to go now. Here's a throw to the right side. That's intercepted. It's Tyler Armstead. And the junior cornerback will make the play. He had a very good year from the nickel last year, and that resulted in 4 interceptions for him. But this year we haven't really seen that. It's good to see him get on the board there. So now still up by 10 here late. Here is pressure on the quarterback. It's Amir Broussard along with Dennis Briggs, number 99, getting after the QB. Good to see him get in for the sack. Here's a 3rd and 16 throw, and too much air under that one. Could not stay in bounds. And this one is the game here. It's a 4th and 16. We send pressure and a quick throw, and it's incomplete. And Nevada will hold on here late in this game as Dylan Council gets one more throw across the middle. That's Micah Tease inside the 5, tackled at the pylon. They will rule him out at about the half-yard line. And now 1st and goal. Here is Council scrambling, and he will take it in himself for the touchdown. And Nevada will roll in this one. 30-13 here. It was a tough game for most of the game, actually. Utah State kept it pretty close, but Nevada ended up playing some decent defense down the stretch. A shutout in the second half, and Dylan Council does get player of the game. You know, games like this make you really remind yourself that every game has to be taken serious because, you know, we played really good versus UCLA in the first couple of possessions, but then, you know, UCLA started to pull away. But I want to start playing well against all of these teams. Like, we should be winning handily, at least, you know, by 2 touchdowns or so versus the weaker Pac-12 opponents. And I feel like in the first 6 games of this year, every game was within 1 score. So we definitely want to make sure that we are playing our best football versus everybody, no matter who we are playing. But I think the thing is, you know, we're just not getting after the passer. I think that's really the big difference. We're not getting off the field on 3rd downs. And even on 2nd downs, we're not setting them up with like a 3rd and long and a tough situation for the opposing offense. I think that's something that we do have to clean up. We do get a big commitment from 4-star defensive tackle Morgan Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel is going to be interesting. I think what we're going to end up doing is not flat out just redshirting him, but we will probably play him as a redshirt under that 4-game threshold because I think he's going to be the future at defensive tackle. And then we end up getting 3-star tight end John Milley. And I want to rack up those tight ends to really create a position group that's going to be deep. But Morgan Ezekiel, you know, I really like him. I do want to get him on the field. But like I said, I do want to keep that freshman status. So we'll see. Playing time at an A+. So that's going to be interesting to see if we can keep that deal breaker on even after only playing him 4 games. But John Milley is another athletic tight end. He's 6'6", a little light with 221, but I think he's a guy that could contribute with this offense and add some more size. I mean, we have Mike Bandy, we have Damar Tam. I mean, these guys are going to be some towers out there on the field together. I do decide to go out and scout some more, you know, guys on our recommended tab. Trey Welker was one of them. Now, he only has 78 speed, but he has decent coverage. And I think that one thing with him is that he's going to be probably one of those guys because of his speed. We're going to have to develop that a little more and, you know, see how that development goes. Because I think right now at safety, you have to have some decent speed. Now, Larry Swain only has 85 speed. You can get away with that, but in the 70s, I don't think you will. Frank McGooligan, what a last name that is. He is a edge rusher, a speed rusher archetype, which something we don't have many of right now. He's got 72 finesse moves, 76 speed, 87 excel. He's an interesting player. He's a little undersized at 6 foot 221. But I'm going to offer him a scholarship and recruit him a little bit as well. So really the marquee matchup in this episode is our rivalry game versus Boise State. We have not faced them since season 1 where we did defeat them at home. Well, we get another home game versus Boise State. They are a ranked opponent as well. But going around the NCAA and looking at these standings, you know, there are no real surprises. Tulane always ends up being good in simulation because they play in the American and they usually dominate that conference. But really besides them, there's really no real big surprises. Hawaii is 8-1 on the year. Their only loss is coming against us, obviously. But we are at home versus this rivalry game. And I'm surprised that we have not played Boise State on the road so far. You know, we faced them twice, but every time we see them, we're at home. So hopefully we can play them on the road next year. That would be a fun matchup. But this is one of the better teams in the Pac-12 at this point. And not only because of their record, but because they have the leading Heisman Trophy list. Oh, I wouldn't say award winner, but the guy on the list, and Tavien St. Clair. He is a sophomore as well. So they are going to get possibly 2 more seasons of St. Clair after this. He has 97 throw power, 84 awareness. He's an excellent ball carrier. Look at the elusiveness ratings, and he's got 91 speed. And to add to that, he's super durable with 99 injury. I mean, he is everything you want in a quarterback, and he is the leader on the Heisman list. Looking at the top 25 rankings, Boise State is actually square in the race to compete for the college football playoff. Obviously, they'll probably have to win out. They have a tough matchup, I believe, versus UCLA in the last 3 games of the year. So we are not even getting votes at all, and I mean, rightfully so. We are 6-3 at this point. But Tavien St. Clair, 24 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Zaire Gaines is still there, and I feel like he's been there quite a while. Well, now that I think about it, he was a redshirt freshman when we played him back in season number 1, but he's got 13 yards, closing out in on a 1,000-yard season. They also have Jabri Bickham, who is a 15-touchdown receiver. Now, that is, I believe, top 3 in the country right now with touchdowns. And this team is a good football team. They are pretty deep. They can run the football. They can sling it around with their Heisman Trophy candidate. This is going to be a tough game overall. And I think the one thing to note is that we are going to be, in these close games with these good teams, especially in these rivalry games. These rivalry games are something different. So let's get this game underway as we do kick it away to the offense. And here is Boise State back to receive this kickoff. And here we go. Last meeting, we only won by 2. So I think this is going to be an interesting matchup here. St. Clair, we'll see how good he ends up being. In the pocket, we only rushed 3 on the first 3rd down. And that's a quick throw across the middle as he finds his tight end open for the first down. This team is going to really try to put up a lot of points today because they are going to look to move up the rankings as well. Here's another quick throw, this time to Terrell Rubin at receiver for the Boise State Broncos, and it's a first down. A lot of the RPO game here for Boise State early. Here's a quick throw to the sideline. It's Rubin again. Josiah Persinger there on the tackle. We send pressure on the next play. 2nd and inches. It's a dump off here to Zaire Gaines, and Larry Swain makes the tackle, but not before the first down. St. Clair now. This is a little read option, and there is the speed taking off, and look at how quick he is inside the 15. A quick gain of 19 yards for St. Clair. That's something we have to account for. Here's a throw to the end zone. This one is caught, but it looks like there is a flag on the play, and it's a holding on the offensive line. So this one is coming back. 2nd and 15 now at the 16-yard line. Here is St. Clair. We rush 4, throw into the end zone up the seam, and he will overthrow his target on that one. And it's now a 3rd and 15. 3 down linemen, but we send pressure. Here's a throw to the end zone, almost intercepted. And that's Jackson Barton, number 26, getting some playing time. And Boise State settles for the field goal, but almost a good opportunity for the new cornerback, the sophomore, coming in. Here is David Paul starting out the game with a big-time run, and that's a gain of 17. You want to find a way to earn some more playing time, it's by busting off runs like that. Here's another quick throw, this time to the Heisman candidate. It is Micah Tease for the first down. That throw was a little bit behind him, but it makes it there. Now here is Council again, a little RPO over to Mike Bandy this time. Bandy breaks the tackle, and he picks up a gain of 9. 5 for 90 last week here for Bandy. Here is a nice cutback this time. David Paul making sure he does get the first down on that one. It's a gain of 5. Across the 50 now. Here is Council throwing off his back foot. It's DeMar Tam. Tam inside the 5. He will score. And how about that drive by the Nevada offense? DeMar Tam, Micah Tease, David Paul, all the guys getting involved along with Mike Bandy. And it's the freshman, 6'5", out of Henderson, Nevada, out of Reno, Nevada, I should say. He scores and he makes it 7-3. So here we go, back on defense. Tavien St. Clair moved the ball well in the first drive. Let's see if he can do it again. Here's another quick throw, and this one is caught. Cameron Bates for the first down. You know, the thing about playing these really good quarterbacks, you can't really blitz them too much. They will pick up the blitz right away and get rid of it to an open man. You really have to be smart. Sometimes dropping guys in coverage, you really have to switch it up every single play. Now 2nd and 8. Here's St. Clair. Clean pocket. Gets rid of it, and he will find Caden Anderson across the 50. Larry Swain on the tackle, but it is a first down. It's St. Clair now across the 50. We rush 5 this time. Here's a throw to an open man downfield inside the 5. It's Jabri Bickham. 15 touchdowns on the year, and St. Clair completes his 500th pass of the year. Another RPO over to Bickham, and he will score. Touchdown number 16 for him, and Boise State will take the lead here, and that drive seemed really easy. So here we go, Dylan Council, handoff to start the next drive. It's David Paul who tries to find the hole, and he cannot. It's only a gain of 1. That brings it to a 3rd and 11. Council in the pocket. Throw into the sideline. He's got Micah Tease for the first down. And we're trying to get Micah Tease the football quite a bit because I do want him to have that chance at winning the Heisman. We'll see if it actually happens. Here's a throw to the right side, and that's a great throw to the outside, finding Mike Bandy for the first down. I don't think Dylan Council's thrown an incompletion so far as we talk about it, and that just happens. Knocked out of the hands of Mike Bandy. That brings it to a 3rd and 10 now. Looks like we have 4 wide receivers out on the field. Another throw on an out route. It's going to be Tease again, but a flag on the play. Oh, man, and this one is likely coming back. It looks like it's a block in the back. I have not seen that penalty at all in this game so far. It's Dante Starling. That brings us to an eventual 4th and 5 as we go for it here. Here's a throw across the middle, and it's Bandy, and he cannot get there. I thought he would be able to get to the first down marker, even on the short, shallow crossing route. And now here we are back on defense. Pressure on Tavien St. Clair. He doesn't even mind it. He throws downfield, and on the sideline, it's knocked away by Josiah Persinger. So we do get the possession back here as we have about 8 minutes to go in the first half. Here is Darius Whitehead with the catch, spinning upfield for the first down. Here is Council again, comes out with 5 wide. He loads up and throws this one deep, and he had Tease with the step. Maybe with a bit more air, that would have been a little more accurate. It's 2nd and 10. Pressure on Council, and he goes down. Tyson Ford. And that's a big loss of 8 on this play. That brings it to a 3rd and 18. Throw into left side, knocked away. And both teams, after a couple of nice possessions here, coming up with stops by their defense. 6 minutes to go here in the half. Here is Sire Gaines who finds a space. And that one will be a first down run for him. Now 2nd and 10, close to the 50, a short throw. This one's caught. Larry Tuilolo was in coverage, and Nadir Churchy will have the first down. Larry Tuilolo isn't great in coverage. He's good. It's still developing as a skill for him, but I think that he could possibly be elite in this category come next year. Here's a throw on the run. That was caught by Bickham again, and it's a first down. I think that's one thing that if we want to go to the next level, we have to improve our pass rush and our coverage by our linebackers going into next year. Here's a throw to the right side. That's another catch. He caught Tuilolo in coverage again, and it's Bickham for another catch. And now they're at the 1. St. Clair, he's going to hand off this time to Sire Gaines, and he will fight in for the touchdown as Tyler Armstead couldn't make the tackle. And now Boise State is up by 10 with about 3 minutes to go here in the first half. Council now, he looks like he's cold at the current moment. He throws this one deep, and he's got Damar Tam, who stays on his feet and gets pushed out of bounds. A big-time throw by Council. We're across the 50 after the first play. Here's another deep shot. Looking for Tam. He's got it in the end zone, and he does not hold on to it. That one would have been an acrobatic catch for a touchdown on that one. Council now rolling to the right side, throwing to David Paul, wide open, by the way, and he misses a big target. It's now 3rd and 10. Another quick throw. This time it's Dante Starling who went up to get it, and he can't bring it down. So we have to punt the ball away again. As here is St. Clair back on offense. Here's a dump off pass to Gaines. Gaines gets met by Jackson Barton, and a nice tackle that time by the defense. That was number 39, Denario Hartwell. Here's a throw across the middle. That's intercepted. It's Tuilolo to the 10. He will be run down, but he will score. Larry Tuilolo, I just talked about it. He's not great in this department, but that throw was right to him. I'm not sure if Tavien St. Clair even saw him because he threw it to him like he was wide open. And Tuilolo was just sitting right there, and he does the rest with his legs. And he makes it a 3-point game. You want to talk about a momentum swing in this one? That's got to be it. 58 seconds to go for the Heisman Trophy leader so far. He hands it off to Gaines. Gaines gets to the outside. Gaines pushed out of bounds for a gain of 9. That one will stop the clock as well and help them out. At the 50 now, we rush 4. Here's a quick throw, and that's a catch to an open receiver for a first down here for the Broncos. And now they're at the 38. To 2nd and 7. Boise State has 1 timeout remaining. Tavien St. Clair in the shotgun. We rush 3 and blitz a linebacker. That's a catch for about 4 yards. That won't help them, though. They get a snap off here at 7 seconds. They throw short, and it is knocked out of the hands of number 80, Cameron Bates, and they will bring in the field goal kicker from about 51 yards, and that one is good. So both teams start out quickly, then cool off, and now we have ourselves a 6-point game. So Dylan Council played pretty well so far in the first half. He hands it off to David Paul to start it out, breaking a tackle, still on his feet. It takes 3 men to bring him down, and he's at the 42 with the big-time run for a first down. I just love the way David Paul runs with the football. Boise State sends pressure. We get rid of it across the middle to Damar Tam at the last second, and Tam cannot hang on to that pass. Now a 3rd and 8. Here is Council using his legs, fighting forward, and he needed 8. He only gets 6 on this one. And now we line it up to go for it here on a 4th and 2. Boise State loads the box, trying to confuse the offense. Here's a short throw to Mike Bandy, and he cannot hang on. There's a holding call anyway, but man, that drop definitely does hurt us there. We could have had another shot at a 4th down, but it probably would have been a punt anyway. But here is a deep shot on the first play of the next drive. That's a great play by Tyler Armstead, who was playing on the outside right there. Here's St. Clair, and he gets lit up this time. And it's Josiah Persinger on the hit. Only a gain of 2. 3rd and 8. St. Clair now loads up, throws this one deep to the end zone. He's got a man, and it's knocked out of the hands of Cameron Bates. And it's number 26, Jackson Barton, who gets a late punch in there. And it's incomplete. Now both offenses are struggling to get into the end zone. Here's a quick throw. That's Mike Bandy, and he catches that one for about a gain of 4. You know, the short passing game is working for us. It's just throwing downfield hasn't been. Here is David Paul with the carry to the outside. And Paul gets down the sideline to the 10, the 5. David Paul, touchdown. The longest run of the series so far. And David Paul will score here from about 60 yards out. And how about Damar Tam on the outside, just getting in the way of a defender and really not even engaging in a block, just getting in his way. And Paul is able to bounce it to the outside. 87 speed, but he has enough to get into the end zone. It's 2020. We actually missed the extra point, by the way. Here's a quick throw across the middle. That's Zaire Gaines, and he picks up the first down. St. Clair now, a little draw play, and Larry Tuilolo is there first, and Larry Swain along with Denario Hartwell are there for the gang tackle. That brings it to a 3rd and 8. Our defense has been playing great after the first 3 drives. Here is St. Clair in the pocket. He throws short, and this one is caught, but Larry Swain makes the tackle. I've been waiting on Swain to make some impact plays for us. Here is Council now back on the field. Here's a throw across the middle. Oh, wow. Damar Tam, that was absolutely defensive pass interference, but a flag was already thrown on our starting center. That was Blanford, and he will be called for a 10-yard holding penalty. That was unfortunate because, man, he was open. Here's a deep shot looking for Tease, and almost a big play by Tease, and now it's 3rd and 21. Here is Council rolling to left side. Will throw across his body, and he's got Bandy downfield somewhere. And that's a big-time throw across your body, and Council makes the impossible look easy. Wow, what a throw by Council. A couple of missed throws there, a penalty, and then we get that big conversion. And just trying to run the football, but Boise State is there to stop it. 3rd and long, and this time a penalty flag again. And this time it's the transfer Isaac Book at left guard who gets called for the flag. A lot of holding calls by our offensive line today. That's definitely prohibited our offense from moving the football. We had to bring in Darren Bortles this time for a 53-yarder, and the kick is good. It's off of the crossbar, and it bounces in. And well, at least we know his range at this point, and he's been a guy that has struggled to make long field goals this year. Up by 3. Here's Tavien St. Clair. That's a throw up the seam, and that's a great catch. And that's a big first down here for Sean Wilson. Fake draw play. Here's a throw across the middle, and it's another catch. It's Cameron Bates inside the 25, and that's a first down, beating number 26 on that play. That's Jackson Barton. Here's a run up the middle, and Barton does stand him up that time as Larry Tuilolo comes in for the help. Another counter play, and Larry Tuilolo along with Marquise Rahman are there to meet him in the hole. And now it's a 3rd and 8. We send pressure. We send 5. St. Clair throws this one out of the back of the end zone. So they bring in their kicker, Colton Norton, here to tie this ball game up, and this kick is just inside the left upright, and it's a tie ball game. Losing my voice here with about 3 minutes to go here in this game. Here is a carry up the middle. That's David Paul. Spun around in a loss of 1. That brings it to a 2nd and 11 now as the clock continues to run here. We don't want to give him too much time just in case. Here's a throw across the middle. That's a catch, and it's going to be Damar Tam for the first down. 100 yards for Tam in this one, and it's not Micah Tease today. Here's a carry. It's David Paul up the middle, just trying to get into field goal range at this point. That brings us to a 3rd and 7. Here's a throw to the flats. It's David Paul fighting forward, and he gets enough for the first down. He needed 7. It looks like he may have gotten 9. A minute 20 to go. Here is Paul this time, and that's a great cutback that time, finding the hole, picking up a gain of 9, and now Boise State will start to call some timeouts. Here's another carry. It's Paul up the middle, breaking a tackle, spinning forward to the middle of the field. And now Boise State is going to burn all their timeouts. And this is going to be a carry up the middle, getting to the middle of the field. We get it to the 6. We kneel it down, bring in Bortles, and the kick is good. I've learned my lesson from last year. Last year we had a blocked field goal at the end of the game, and then we had another attempt. So I made sure to attempt this on at least a second or a third down, and Bortles makes it, and they have one more play here at the end of the game. So here we go, Tavien St. Clair. We're going to bring all of our defenders back here. This time St. Clair is going to throw this one deep, and this one is knocked to the ground, and Boise State will be upset in this one, 26-23. Nevada will defeat their rival, one of their two rivals, for the second time in this series, as David Paul runs wild today. He didn't get a ton of carries, and I want to make sure to manage that wear and tear, but he did break off one of the longest runs of the series, and he really sparked us today on our offense. And Dylan Council, another clean game from Council. Like, it wasn't pretty all the time. Like, there were some missed throws at times, but no turnovers, and that's really what you want from your quarterback. David Paul, 8 yards per carry today, 16 for 129. 6 broken tackles. I just love to see it. And then, through the air, Mike Bandy had a good game. I got to give a shout-out to Bandy. He's been really good this year. DeMar Tam, he was good today. And Micah Tease kind of took, a back seat. 4 for only 48 yards today. And then what can you say about Larry Tuilolo? I think he's having a really special year, and this is the year that I envisioned for him coming into this year. He is going to have to take over for Russell Davis II, coming off of a award-winning season a year ago, and I think he's just pretty much picked up where we saw Davis leave off last year, and Tuilolo is just a sophomore as well. Well, we advance on, and we find out that we are now the number 23 team in the country. Our championship contender goes up to a B, and that's important because Micah Tease is actually threatening to transfer. So the higher the championship contender, the easier it is going to be to retain him. Larry Tuilolo, after that game, ends up winning Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week after the pick 6, 2 tackles for loss, and 11 total tackles. And then he also wins National Defensive Player of the Week. We haven't done that in quite a while. But we move up here as we are number 23. Look who's behind us. Hawaii is number 24 in the country, which makes sense because we are the team that beat them. But this is quite the, episode for us because we are now ranked for the second time in this series. Now, last year we were ranked. We could not finish the season ranked, but we were ranked at some point last year. So coming into, our final couple of games, I look at what is our path to the conference championship. Well, UCLA has a couple of tough games to end their season, a couple of easy games, I should say, along with USC at the end. But then also USC plays Boise State and UCLA. So there is actually a path. If USC ends up losing to Boise State and losing to UCLA and we win out, we could potentially make the conference championship. I would say it's kind of unlikely, but it is possible. Micah Tease and both Tavien St. Clair moved down on the Heisman list. That is actually a very interesting development as both players didn't have bad games, but they didn't have good games, and both of them ended up moving down. We do have some award finalists here. How about the Bednarik, Larry Tuilolo? He's number 1 right now for the best defensive player. That's crazy. And the Nagurski. I can't believe that. Like, Larry Tuilolo is having a good season. I wouldn't think he would be good enough to win the Nagurski, though, which is interesting. I'm not surprised by this one, though. The Bolitnikov, Micah Tease is number 1 right now. And then the Dick Butkus Award. I'm really not surprised at this one, though. Larry Tuilolo, I think he is the best linebacker. I'm not sure about the best defensive player, though. But I'm happy to see it for Larry Tuilolo. Hopefully it could, land him a bunch of XP in the offseason and we could see a super Larry Tuilolo as a junior. So with 2 games remaining, we have San Diego State along with UNLV. We lost to UNLV last year, so I'm really going to be looking to get our revenge in that one. But we'll see if we can finish the season strong, and we are on the outside looking in on the college football playoff. I'd say it's unlikely that we get there, but I guess you never know. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.